heat, and she's driving Sammy rather nuts. But I think it's important that you see my face for some of this, because I'm rather devastated. But I'm going to cover it for now, and I'll get back with you when I get to that part of the video that I think will be important to see. Thank you, boy. I'll get you in a minute or two. All right, guys, so I want to show you, excuse me, make sure that didn't mess anything up. So this is going to be quick. I hope. I'm going to show you what I believe is going on. Well, actually, I'm going to unveil the truth. There are a lot of YouTubers out there monetizing. There we go. There are a lot of YouTubers out there monetizing God. First of all, it's just a no-go. We're not supposed to be doing that. We're not supposed to, our lives aren't supposed to be driven by monetary gain. It was never intended to be this way. And I'm going to go over just a few things. A lot of my videos aren't favorites. They're not populars, because the goal is to wake up your conscience. The goal is to convict you. The goal is to make you uncomfortable. We need to be made uncomfortable. I'm sorry, Sam, I was doing things with my hands and he's used to me giving him hand signals. I apologize. I'll get you in a minute, okay? Just stay and be good. Lay down. I'm talking to my friends, sort of. So first, the first lie that we're going to discuss that the YouTuber crew likes to pass around is this one. And please understand, the main goal of this is to lead you away from what this life really is and how special it is and what you really are. They want you to get to believe you're clones, you're androids, you're this, you're that. I'm not saying that those things don't exist. I don't consent to clones. I don't consent to things being inserted to humanity, walking beside us, pretending to be men and women. But something obviously is happening in that arena. I've showed you video evidence of that. Either it's a large gaslighting initiative, but I believe there is some truth there. A lot of these bigger YouTubers who get pushed, they get pushed because they're selling you an agenda that the controllers want you to believe. So we're going to talk about what Tartaria really is. Tartarus is the root word. It comes from the Bible. It is not a glorious place. It is not a place you should want to go. It is not a place made for mankind. It is not a place, I don't think, that mankind is supposed to have access to. Now, unless you've ever been to any of these places yourself, you can't even say that they exist anywhere than other in videos. Now, I do look rough. I haven't had any sleep, and I've been steady, irritable, and crying off and on for about a week. And I couldn't figure out why. I couldn't figure out, like, what's going on. But God's always worked with me that way. I feel the emotion first, and then when I go through whatever it is, which actually works out for me because I'm better able to go through trauma. I've already went through the emotional stuff, and if there's something physical or material playing out, I've already acclimated, if that makes sense. So Tartaria is not a heavenly place. It's a jail, it's a prison, and it's a place of punishment. They want you to think it's a place upon the earth, but here's what it really is. The Greek word Tartaros, is used in 2 Peter 2:4, where it's translated as hell in some English versions. But more accurately, it refers to a place of temporary confinement until their day of final judgment. Tartarus is a Greek term that in this context describes a place where God has confined fallen angels who sinned, holding them in chains of darkness until judgment. It's important to note that Tartarus is not a final destination. Now, again, I don't care if they call it the Tartarian Empire. The place is Tartarus, okay? Tartarian would be the people, the place. You need to learn words so that you cannot be fooled by your own language, friends. It's a very sad state of affairs we are in here. And I'll touch on the beginning and the end in a second here. And yes, it's related. While Tartarus is only mentioned once in the Bible, the concept of fallen angels being punished and confined is also touched upon in other passages, such as Jude 1:6 and 1 Peter 3:19-20. Greek mythology says Tartarus has roots in Greek mythology where it was the deep abyss, or the darkest part of the underworld, which I've gone over why I believe this is a place that is underwater. However, I also believe that the underground of our realm here can be water and then go to tunnels and be water again. So I think in that way it can be a little fluid, no pun intended. It's used in a specific context to describe the confinement of fallen angels. And I'm warning you, these things have been around so much longer than us, and they are trying to fool you with language and get you to come into agreement with them. A lot of these bigger YouTubers that you see, in fact, are of that bloodline. They will not admit this. They will not say this. They are very likable. They are very charming at first when you don't know anything about them. But their main initiative is to be rid of us. Sort of, at least our souls. And then the other thing is you can kind of tell who's in this and why they're in this by their page. I started following someone, I thought he was leaking truth. Not even, the page isn't even a couple of months old and he's already got merch up and a store and, you know, real cool editing. And they give you clues in their backgrounds. You can tell who they are. For example, this one person had a poster in the back, and I'm pretty sure it was like fake or a mock-up. And it said, "We resorted to cannibalism a little quick, I'll admit." Yeah, I guess you did. Tartaria is not a place of fairy tales or wonder or wonderland. It's not a place you should want to go to visit. It is not a place for mankind. It is only for the fallen angels' confinement until their day of judgment. In 2017, and you can look everything up that I'm about to say, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm not going to continue to spoon feed literate individuals information when you can very well go look it up for yourself, and you should, because that's when it impacts you. When you read it and you hear it, it convicts you where you need convicted, where you need convicting, okay? In 2017, when all this stuff started for me, in fact, I was up by Erie about to be baptized, and for the first time, well, sort of the first time. It wasn't the last time, though. And people say, well, you don't need to be rebaptized. No, you don't understand. When you get under, depending on who does that for you, you actually kind of do. So for people to say, well, that's not valid, man, it's all about your conscience. That's why we're supposed to sort out our salvation with fear and trembling. What might be right for me at this point might not be right for you in certain circumstances. Like me, living in the belly of the beast among the wicked. You know, what does light have to do with darkness? I think I'm not like you. So I don't always try to tell people, well, my life is a template, or I'm perfect, or, everyone needs to be like this, like that. I don't do that sort of thing. The goal is to free us with the truth. Stop giving these people, they're not people, stop giving these beings your attention. They crave our attention. They crave, which I don't understand. They have like this love-hate relationship with us, which I can understand because I actually have that conflict inside from how I was raised. And a lot of us do. Here's the problem at this point. A lot of us in society right now, and I say us because I'm a human being and I'm here with you. Lay down. Lay down. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to I'm sorry. I'll get you in a minute. I'm almost done. Sorry, guys. It's frustrating for them and it's frustrating for me. Thank you. They understand, like they do, man. I'm going to talk about some things that are going to be uncomfortable, but they need talked about. And this won't be like a super long video. I'll be done in probably 5-10 minutes, I hope. The goal is to set us free because of the way that we live. And I'm going to give you an example, and I'm going to use my own life because I can't speak for anyone else. I can only speak for myself. Sam, no, lay down. Lay down. Sammy, lay down. Lay down. I'll take you in the room. Lay down. Do I have to pause the video? Hold on, guys. I might have to pause this. Sorry. Good boy. No. Lay down, or I'll take you in the bedroom. Sorry, guys. Okay. So the first thing is that all these people selling you this myth of Tartaria being some place of wonderment, it is a prison. It is not a place you should want to go. And in fact, a lot of the images they're showing you are old churches, old cathedrals. And I'm not going to say that the heavenly angels did not help us with that, because they absolutely did. There is a church, or there is an angel over every church. 7 angels, 7 churches, 7 continents. Okay? Are you following me so far? I hope. Sam, sit down, or I'll take you to the crate or the bedroom. And his crate is like a giant house. You've seen it. He can get up and stand up. He can turn around. He can sit down, even kind of tries to jump. So it's pretty big. He's got his food in there, his toys, a blanket, a pillow, like all that stuff. So the next thing is to tell you that the goal is to set you free with truth, because at this point, when you get to be a double-minded person, I'm going to use myself for an example. When my son was born, and the same thing happened to me and my dad, and I told you this story already, but when my son was born, so this is me passing, my dad passed it to me. I didn't want to eat meat as a child. And I literally sat at like this long dining room table after him and my mom had separated, all by myself, this little girl. He had made this plate up like I was an adult with a steak knife and a fork and a candle. And I didn't want to sit there and eat that steak. And I still don't understand. Like, you sit and you chew and you chew and you chew forever. And anyways, I set my napkin on fire. that was how. Anyways, my child then came along, and I couldn't figure out, what am I doing wrong? Why am I a bad mother? Why won't my child eat his protein? Why won't he eat his scrambled eggs? Why won't he eat the little Vienna sausages? And he's only like 2 or 3. And I'm like, why is, like, he's going to get sick? What is happening? And I had to put him on formula, just all this stuff. And that's double-mindedness. We are trying to force other sentient, conscious, life-filled beings to do what we want them to do. Forced conversions, or you turn into a martyr. Forced diets, or you just have no other choice. Forced ways of life, 9 to 5, that's your only choice. You don't get another choice unless, you're really ingenuitive and you already have capital built and you can have your own business. This is why a lot of things fall under nepotism, because we can't do anything here by ourselves. I am weary of looking in the comment sections of the homeless videos and seeing people say, well, they did it to themselves. Nobody helped me. That's malarkey. Everyone that has a license had somebody teach them how to drive or lend them a car. That's help. Everyone that is alive and walking on the planet today is alive because your mother or your mother figure fed you as a baby, or you would not be here. Yes, we all make bad decisions and poor choices, But to kick another living being while they're down and to have that lack of compassion, how much compassion do you think then is going to be had for you? And I'll go one further. Houseless people cannot afford much of anything. Do you really think that they can afford designer substances to put in their bodies? The ones in the comment section gaslighting everybody, those are the ones that are on the substances. The gang stalkers, those are the ones who get fed the nose candy all day long. I know because they're around me. They don't admit to being gang stalkers, but they watch all the videos. They watch all the auditing videos. You know, somebody that sits around and does nothing but watch auditing and police videos, and they're not a cop. Why do you think they want to know that stuff? Where they can film, where they can't film, what they can publish, what they can't publish. We are in a state of double-mindedness. Now, what happens when you're like that? When I say, okay, I don't want to do this job, right? And I had this at the end of the pizza job where I was like, man, I don't eat the meat, but I'm messing with it and I'm making money from it and I'm putting the greasy pepperoni on the pizza. Like, it's a conflict. You can't live out of alignment like that and be clinically sane. We have a society of literal psychopaths and we are insane from our diets and from our directly related to our lifestyles. And I know you don't want to hear this. You have to hear it. You can't just act like this doesn't exist anymore. See, and I'll use myself as an example again. God asked me to witness. He asked me to be a witness. And I'm like, well, all I'm seeing is stuff on the screen. I've never been anywhere. I've never done anything. And I'm like, well, this is my option, right? So this is what I'm going to do. I don't know why it occurred to me yesterday, but I like dairy. I've always liked dairy until a few hours ago. And I was just raised drinking a glass of milk. It's healthy for you. It's good for you. I still like the taste, sort of. But something told me that I needed to understand where it was coming from. And I'm still one of those people who had the regular old-fashioned farm in my head. Like, oh, well, you know, the farmers get their own milk and they get me some too. But you don't think of the mass production and how that sullies the whole process. In the beginning, God told us every seed bearing fruit was ours to consume. The animals were never really included in that. Now, please hear me out. They're going to say with the Old Testament, and I'm not going to get into a religious doctrinal argument right now, but I do have all of the information that I need to do that. And anyone that wants to debate with me or talk with me about this type of thing, I will discuss it with you because Christ did not eat animals. That's why he turned the tables in the temple. He didn't eat them. Now, I was still in a state of cognitive dissonance, and my conscience wakes up more daily. And it's not enjoyable, obviously. And so I was like, I need to know where this comes from. So I'm not going to show you what I saw, but I am going to tell you a few things. I had no idea that they straight up cull all the male chickens. I didn't know that. Why do you think what's happening to us across the planet is being allowed to happen now? Why do you think the hierarchy has been flipped upside down? Why do you think animals are attacking humans? Because we were never supposed to dominate them. To have dominion over means to care for. It's a great responsibility. Just like I was just talking about 7 angels, 7 countries, 7 churches. Great responsibility. If one of them falls, our world gets very, very dark very quick. And it's very possible that's what's happened. Because the Catholic Church is just being waylaid. But at this point, there are some necessary things that need to happen so that the truth can come out and so that evil can be exposed to the light and sanitized and cleansed and purified. People say, well, don't you have Christ? Why aren't you more joy-filled? I can't possibly be joy-filled. I have joy, right? And I have joyous moments, and I laugh and I smile and I do those things. But we were told in the beginning to go forth and multiply. That was in the beginning. At this time, the hierarchy has been flipped upside down because we left our first estate like the fallen angels did. They want us as guilty as them. We left our first estate. Our first estate is to look is the dominion of the earth and the animals and the plants. Our dominion is over the earth. The earth is falling because we are falling. And I don't want to see, it feels like if one goes, we all go. I don't know if that's true. It feels that way, right? A lot of people will say the earth is hell, and I'm not going to say that it's not very close at this point. I think hell's empty. I do. At this point, I think they're all here with us, and I think that's allowed to happen. But this isn't hell. If you go there, I pray none of us do. If we go there, I would imagine it will be a pit, a void within us. You'll be ceaselessly hungry, thirsty, lust-filled, and you'll never, ever be able to satiate that. There will be no feasting, drinking, nor marrying, nor partying in Hades, no matter what they've told you. If you don't like the idea of jail and confinement and slavery, you don't want to go there. Set your mind on it right now to get up out of this cognitive dissonance. So I'm going to use myself as an example, and I'm going to tell you this cognitive dissonance and why I know we're falling. When I went up to Erie to get baptized, and I know I bounce around a little bit. That's why we need to have bigger attention spans and actually listen to people instead of just editings of the devil, man. People will say, oh, this happened. What happened before and after the cameras? Just like my pseudo spouse tells me, I was here doing inventory. Do you want to see the email? How does that prove to me where you were? I don't care what you fashioned on a piece of paper. I could give a fig less. We're now they're criminalizing people and putting people in jail for what's on their computer. How do you know that person put it on there? Now we can't differentiate between a living sentient being and the devices, the mechanical devices that we use. The intelligence factor has just greatly decreased. And at this point, this is something to be scared of. You should be scared for yourself and scared for your families. And I don't mean scared to the point of paralyzation. I mean scared to the point of change. Don't try to force no one else to change. Don't say I got to protect my family from all these outside sources. Protect your family from you. Protect your family from themselves. Start there. Start with yourself. When I went to get baptized, there was a video that came up from CERN that they had received a message in Hebrew. One word. That one word was tekel. Tekel means you have been weighed, you have been judged and found lacking. And ever since then, after 2017, that's when I started with the dreams. But it's not just me, it was the whole of the realm. There are people like me all over YouTube. I find them every day. I share them with you. Why are you still addicted to these big, posh personalities? I'm having a really difficult time being part of a society that capitalizes on pain and suffering of those more vulnerable. Animals, women, children, elderly, infirm, houseless. We capitalize on pain. We are a society of pain. It will not end well. The only thing you can hope for at this point is to make change in yourself and your family. I don't think it's a good idea for us to be in big groups right now. I don't think it's a good idea for certain beings and people to mix right now. People are clinically psychopathic, and they want to put people like me away. Now, I know also that in the vegetarian and vegan community, they don't like a lot of Christians because of the Old Testament sacrifices. And I'm going to tell you one more time, Just because something says it's God doesn't make it God. How many times in the last year have you seen pastors, mega church preachers calling themselves GD? And I'm not going to say it because I don't want to say those, I don't want those words to come out of my mouth. I'm a little G God, but I'm not the creator, maker, fabricator of this realm. Neither are you. We might be co-creators. We have a huge responsibility because of that. It doesn't make us better than anyone. It gives us a harder line to toe, friends. So Tartaria, big lie being sold right now on YouTube. You do not want to come into agreement with any of these beings. We should not be giving them our attention, but it's very hard to pick them out at times. And I don't want to harm them. I just want them to leave us alone or repent. And I'm sick of hearing that people say, oh, but they can't repent. It's impossible. I don't want to hear that. Why does God still have them here then? Obviously, things aren't over yet, right? And obviously, they're being held in chains until judgment. If God had judged them already, they'd already be gone. So things are still happening and things still can be changed. The cognitive dissonance is real. You cannot have a double-minded individual and have a sane, rational, loving, logical individual at the same time. And most people in society today are insane. So let me tell you a little bit about dairy. If you're born a male chicken, you're culled immediately. And you're put into something. Imagine you've just had your babies and they're taken from you. You never see them again. You know nothing about life. You don't know where you're going. You got a bunch of friends with you, though. Hey, we're bouncing around. It's kind of fun. Hey, guys, how are you? Then all of a sudden, if you've ever seen the movie 9, I imagine it would be like the big metal beast in that thing. They're thrown into this grinder alive, fully awake, fully aware, fully conscious. Did you know that? So that they don't get distressed and frustrated, because they all do, and peck each other's eyes out. So there's no, at least not, they say it's so that they don't do that, but I don't know that they even care. They have a machine almost as soon as it's born, and they take its beak. I had to make myself watch these videos because I have participated for my entire life, even though I didn't want to, even though I told my parents I didn't want to. Our children can consent around the age of 8. So we need to really start telling them the facts of life. We need to teach them how to say no. It needs to be okay to say no to adults, because not all adults have your best interest at heart. And the ones who are demon possessed have to go by that no. They have to. That's why do you think they try to manufacture consent? They make up this stuff. Passive consent, manipulated consent. Guess what? It's all void. Manipulated, fabricated consent is not consent at all. It's not the same thing. So I want to tell you something else. And again, I'm just going to use my words here. Milk. And I'm so ashamed. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. I obviously wasn't thinking. But I didn't know. There is no excuse. Like, I hate myself right now. You have to understand, like, I despise myself. So milk. So that we get milk from another animal, and I know it doesn't make sense, and my husband tried to tell me this long ago when he still had his mind. Although he still drank it sometimes. So if you're a female, you have to be pregnant your whole life. If you're a dairy cow, you don't have a choice. And they are, and I hate that I have to use a different word. I hate that there are slaughterhouse videos all over YouTube. And some of them are good. People are applauding animals being murdered, like, and not just ended, like badly ended. It's everywhere. And you have adult content on YouTube, but we're not allowed to criticize our government. We're not allowed to speak truth. But we can make a spectacle of another being dying and being ended purposely. If that doesn't show you, go watch. I told God I would witness, and I have to do what I said I would do. And so I made myself watch what happens to those cows. And as someone who has done both, I have given myself to men that I didn't want to because I didn't want to be hurt. I figured it was easier just to say no. And I got that advice from an older woman when I was 15. And other times when I did say no, I didn't fight because I didn't want to be ended in a nasty way. So I've been taken against my will more than I care to talk about. And yes, by my pseudo spouse as well. More than once. He went to jail for it once. That's how bad I looked afterwards. Where am I going to go? I have 2 kids. I have nobody. Where was I going to go? I was the provider, though. I'm a victim too, but now that I'm consciously aware of what's happening, I'm not a victim anymore and I can't use that. So I have to be accountable. So they inseminate the cows, but it's not a lovely, how do you do process. And they don't ask that to happen like women who are having, like human women who are having problems. A human man puts his arm inside of the cow. That's what they do. After, they do it to the males and the women. And I don't understand why they don't let it happen naturally like we do with dogs. If you can breed a dog, then why is there a human mediator? That makes me, again, just think that it's a depraved situation where the person doing that for some reason desires to be doing that. Because first they have to get the male excited, get the goods from him, put it in a needle, get the woman, not excited, I'm not going to use that word, get her body to respond so that it's easier. And so what better way to do that than to put your arm there, I guess. Yeah, I'm mad, and so should you be. I asked my parents, I watched Charlotte's Web. I did not want to eat meat. That was literally all my mom had in the house most of the time. Hot sausage, sausage links, Italian sausage, pepperoni, salami. But the men in dairy, the males, are all called. This is what they're wanting to do to humans. This is what the fallen ones want to do with us. And I don't want to hear about Cain and Abel because, again, just because a voice in the Old Testament says it's God and that we should listen to it, does that sound like Christ to you? Because Christ went into the temple, and I'm gonna tell you, this is gonna be the outro, and I'm gonna tell you right now about the temple or the tomb. God gave me this insight a while ago. I've interjected it in a few videos here and there, but not very often. So Jesus goes into the temple. What is the temple for? Spirit of God. But what else? What is the Spirit of God? Life, light, love. Start there. Don't start with truth. Life has to come first. Life is true, right? Like all things like that are true. So Christ goes into the temple where you're supposed to have life and love and commune with your Lord and Savior. He goes in there and you have the merchants who sell the animals that are going to be sacrificed for the sins of man. And to say that Christ only came in this world to die, I don't have a word for that, because that's not the truth. That's not why he came here. He came here to bring light. The Old Testament was the dark ages. He saw what was going on. God knew and said, we got to get down there and fix this. We've got to physically get down there and fix this. When Abraham is taking Isaac up the mountain because he's told he has to sacrifice his son, yes, it is a type and shadow and a foreshadowing of what's going to happen with Christ. But more to the point, if Abraham was talking to the one true Father in heaven, maker, creator, fabricator of this realm the whole time, and when he got to the top of the mountain to do the deed, who stopped him? Did the voice of God stop him? No. Well, if it really was the one true God, why didn't he just say, Abraham, you've done enough? Have you learned a lesson from this? No, he sent an angel to stop it. Why? Because you're seeing that power struggle right there between light and dark. I hope somebody heard this, and I hope it put a light off in your head like it did in mine. I couldn't understand. If he's talking to the one true God that whole time, why did an angel have to intervene? The angel of the Lord, which is Christ, in his pre-flesh, Because he wasn't talking to God. The devil was a liar. He steals, he kills, he destroys. That's it. When Jesus went into the temple and he saw that people were still going to end another's life for their own sins, he flipped the shekel and said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's. Don't give this to God. Don't blame this on God, is what he was saying. But nobody listens. Everybody turns him into this like hippy dippy, which he was. But he wasn't dippy. He was a pacifist. But that doesn't mean he didn't have righteous anger. People look at me all the time and say, oh, you're a real Christian. You're real righteous. I'm not righteous. I don't claim to be. I'm wicked. I'm a sinner. I'm trying not to be, but that's the truth. I know my condition now. So it's no more milk for me, no more cheese. And I would like to say that one's going to be hard, but it's not going to be that hard after seeing what I saw. And if I get the urge, I'm just going to make myself go watch another video like that. I had to bear witness to what I've been participating in. We all have to. You have to, or it's going to come to you. If you cannot see that things are different now, God said in the beginning to go forth and multiply. That was in the beginning. When we were new, when he was new to being a parent, before the fall. Things are not always the same across the board. Times change, people change. They might say, well, God never changes. Yeah, the one true God. I don't know that that's true. He's a parent like we are. He didn't always have children. I know that I'm different as a parent tomorrow than I was yesterday. What the Bible means when it says that, it means that he is ever present. He's always there. Yesterday, tomorrow, and the day after. He'll be there for us. And yes, I do believe we have a mother too. And I'm not going to deny things because I'm worried about offending people. I'd rather offend you with the truth. I don't want sweet lies no more, man. I can't sleep as it is. Your conscience will get to the point where it has to wake you up, or you turn into an addict of some kind because you want to shut it up. I'm sorry, like I said, I'm a mess. It is what it is. So the temple is a place for what? For God, for light, for life, for love, for communing, for union with the Most High Creator, Maker God that made you. A place for truth, right? What do you suppose happens? Because Christ told us, you will tear down this temple and I will rebuild it in 3 days. When are you going to stop listening to secular Zionism? I said it. What? When are we going to stop? They don't know scripture. They can barely read it. The temple, as all Catholics know, as much as you hate us, is your body. It is your vessel. It is your flesh. It is not a meat suit. It is not nourishment for anything else. It is not food. It is not a container. Our bodies matter. They are important to the process of transfiguration and transmutation, and that's why we're not supposed to be cremated. If you are following any doctrinal channels or theological channels on YouTube right now, I'm gonna give you the best advice that I ever followed. And nobody else taught me this. It's just something I figured out through trial and error. I'll save you some time that I wasted. Do not watch anyone that's current. Watch the old, or better yet, read the old ancient church fathers. How many saints of the old days were vegetarians, do you know? Your body is a temple. It is for life, light, and love, and the Spirit of God. It is where you commune with God. What do you suppose happens to it when you put a carcass inside of it, when you put death inside of it? Why are you eating death? That is why we are still dying, is because we consume death, so we become what we consume. That's why people are still dying. And we're also still dying because we're teaching about it. We're acting like it's a definitive. It's not a definite. We're told over and over and over again in scripture, sin leads to death. Don't sin. What is the original sin? Eating. It's what she put in her body. What did she eat? How much you want to bet she ate a worm in the apple? How much you want to bet? A worm in the apple. One tiny, insignificant, little parasite. And the entire plan had to be altered. I also believe that's how we got our free will. But how do you suppose, is your body still a temple then if you're putting death into it? What do you put death into? A tomb, friends. So it's real simple. Are you going to choose a temple or a tomb? Are you a temple or are you a tomb? Are you listening, hearing, watching nothing but death? Are you speaking nothing but death? Are your words poisoning other beings? I hate myself right now. I despise myself. Tell you one thing I'm not anymore, though, is weak. Whatever's coming, God has been preparing me. And I'm not perfect. I'm not going to say, I'm not. Make change, friends. I do love you, but I'm having a real hard time loving us as a whole right now. The way we're living, this is why the cognitive dissonance is so strong. And we shut it off by drinking. We numb ourselves with medication, with substances, with things to alter our state of mind so we can push all that back further and further. But you know what happens after a while? of putting things under the rug or shoving them in a closet, you got a really crusty filled, dirty temple, house, whatever. And you can no longer ignore the elephant in the room. What word can you spell almost from the word carnivorous? It started in 2019. Carnivorous equals corona the Russ. We are reaping what we've sown all of these generations, even if it's not our fault. You inherit it because it's in the soil. You consume the soil. Well, I have to eat animals. I have to eat their death. If I don't, I get sick. Do you really think that's what's making you sick? You can't go a couple of days of withdrawal. You know how many things I've withdrawn from now in the last 5 years? I'm ashamed to even, you know what I mean? And none of them were heavy. I've never injected anything into my body or done any of those things. I don't even fish anymore, and I used to love to fish. So, are you going to be a tomb or a temple? I had one more little thing to cover, and I'm trying to remember what it was. I'm sorry. Tomb, temple, beginning, and the end. Oh. I have every reason to believe that Christ was a vegetarian, a kosher vegetarian, if you will. Why do I believe this? If you read, again, as Catholics, man, we're so terrible, aren't we? If you go and you read, everything's crooked. I'm sorry. I'm trying to not be in the dark completely. If you go and read the ecclesiastical history, ecclesiastical just meant church, okay? If you go and read the ecclesiastical history by Eusebius, I hope I didn't mispronounce that. I'm sorry. You get a lot of letters in there between the original apostles, and you get a lot of information about their lives and how they passed, about how the church was formed, what happened after Christ died. And you come to the realization that Peter, James the Just, and Paul had this continuous debate happening about consummation and what we're supposed to consume. Funny when you get married how they call that a consummation too. Again, every verse has deeper meanings the deeper you go with truth and with God. He will show them to you. Just because I said that verse right there is talking about Christ's temple, his body, doesn't mean that there isn't a physical third temple being built of brick and mortar. But the main spiritual meaning about that was Christ showing you that, number one, death shouldn't be feared, but it doesn't even have to happen. Quit making God raise everybody up. That's for another video. Yes, that's high strangeness and very, very woo. So if you're waiting for that video about people being buried alive in the 1880s, it's coming very soon. If God wills, there's time. I happen to think we have unlimited amounts of time to grow or to be stuck in the muck and mire. But I don't want to I don't want to participate in society anymore. And I'm sick of us trying to drag the houseless back into it. Maybe they just left because they see how wicked it is, some of them. Maybe they don't want to be a part of it. What is it our place to say, well, you're mentally ill? We're mentally ill. Really? Oh, okay. Let me ask you something. All you people who think people like me have mental issues. I'm not a doctor. No part of this is medical advice. This is my testimony. Okay? With the stuff I just saw on YouTube, you had better stop censoring truth. Stop it. I do not consent. We need to start saying that, all of us as a group, loud and proud. That's the only thing you should be proud about is learning to say no to these agendas. Well, it'll be hard, and my family, and they won't love me. And Do you know how manipulated we've been by people we thought were our families just because we wanted to do the right loving thing? So we suffered and I don't mean suffer physically or whatever, I mean our souls. Or we made others suffer. We compromised our conscience, our values, our ethics, our principles. Our whole society is profiting off of pain and misery and suffering. That's all it is. That's all any of it is. We're not supposed to be happy right now. We're not supposed to be joy-filled. This is reprehensible, the things that are going on. And the women that are participating thinking, well, we're tough. Let me tell you something. What did God make first? He got above the waters of the dark, right? And he created life and land, plants, animals. Then what? Adam. Then what? Woman. See anything there? Because we've been lied to about that too, and I know I'm going to have all the incel men's and the narcissistic fat meathead secret organization men after me, and I just don't care. If that makes you feel better, you are a miserable being. If you're picking on people who are more vulnerable than you. And yes, a female who is smaller and alone is more vulnerable than a group of 200-300-pound bald men running around as city planners and cops and whatever else. You know how many people are involved in all of this? Why aren't they finding any of these missing people? The farms that are here today in America are not enough because they thought that people were going more vegan and vegetarian. Funny thing though, there aren't enough farms to feed our nation. So where do you suppose they're getting your roasts and your steaks from, friends? No matter how many times I talk about this, nobody is appalled, nobody is offended, and nobody changes. Not that I can see. Christ was a pacifist, so it was Mary and Mary Magdalene. Mary had the Immaculate Conception because she never consumed death. Her parents didn't consume death. Anne, her mother. Cabbage Patch Children, I don't know about that, but how much you want to bet that Mary wasn't the only one who got pregnant without a male? How much you want to bet? I don't care who comes for me at this point. I just don't. I'm speaking the truth. And you know I'm not doing this for money. I'm not doing it to harm anybody. I don't make any money doing this. And I use my currency, my time to do this. I pay to bring this to you. I pay for the internet. I pay for how many phones they've ruined since 2018 so that I could keep doing this. Now I pay for a VPN so that I can do this. I am being tortured mentally, emotionally, spiritually, so that I can do this. Let it not be in vain. Christ didn't come here just to die. He came here to wake us up and to show us how to live. He didn't come here to show us how to die. He came to show us that it's an illusion, it doesn't have to be the truth, and it doesn't have to be permanent. But we have to cooperate. You can't say you're a Christ follower and still be eating those things. I'm sorry. It's not what he did. How do I know? What is on the Last Supper in Da Vinci's painting? What do you see on the table? Bread, water, and a bunch of empty plates, and that's it. You don't see anything else. Da Vinci was telling us the truth, and they've flipped everything around. They flipped it all around. Christ flipped the tables in the temples. He didn't want you to sacrifice another being for your behavior. And the Pharisees saw that, and the Sadducees saw that, and they said, Oh, you don't like that? Well, you can be the next one up there then. The whole plan to end Christ was satanic. They didn't know that he was literally God. They didn't know that God was going to do that. There are other clues all over the place. All over. But I have a really good book that helped me. And you know, I'm a book person. And I'll start to read some of it. And I'll lose subs. And it'll be what it is. You know? I'm not upset about losing subscribers. It upsets me that people are still just turning it off to ignore the truth. It's one thing to turn off the media and to forget politics and entertainment. Like that's huge. That's a good thing. But at least pick and choose your media and be media literate. I have a challenge for you. If you are a meat eater, if you eat animals, go watch it. I know people that eat fish and they can't even gut a fish. I cried the first time I had to gut a fish and I ate it. And I have nothing against Native Americans or even people who hunt, who go and they're in nature. They've studied nature and animals and they're at one with their environment and they use that to sustain their family and they use every part. Every part. The lard, the fat, everything. This industrial farming, these slaughterhouses, they gotta go. We can't be spilling this much blood and expecting the earth to yield us life and goodness back. I don't care about people saying, you know, oh, you're just a humanitarian. Oh, well, you know, Christians are. I'm so tired of us being demonized. And I'm so tired of us demonizing others without trying to first understand them. I'm not a demon. Cain and Abel, I still don't know exactly what was going on there, but I'm going to go back to it. The only thing I can figure again is they each had a different God and a different bloodline. There might only be one creator, maker, true God, but you can turn anything into your personal God. Anything. I could turn a soda into my God. It's not hard to do for humans. That's a void that needs filled, and it needs filled with loving the creator that made us and showing that love and appreciation for life and not ending the lives of others. If it has a face and a brain, it's sentient. My dogs scream. I know because it pierces my ears. When Sammy gets excited, he don't just bark, he screams. Pigs scream. Bulls scream. I will never forget the things that I just saw. It has traumatized me all over again. But I had to make myself bear witness to what I have participated in. It's the only way to affect real and permanent change in myself. Hopefully, you're not so far along in life that that's what you have to do. I don't know what else to say. We literally have a bunch of broken people around us too, because let me go one further. And you're going to say, well, don't you value human life more than an animal? Are the animals going around killing us? Purposely, intentionally? Not really. They don't do that. Because God put them under our dominion. They're not anymore. You can tell everything's upside down. This is why we have to be careful in the parks and all that. This is why I've said if you're going to go and camping and stuff, you best be following natural law. You better not be littering. The worst thing, and again, this is how you know it's an agenda. All those campers came out of nowhere Mr. Steve. Don't get me started on that individual. Why do you think they were doing that? Why do you think when they go camping, they cook them up some nice meat and get it smelling real good? Because that's what they want you to do. Because they know what time it is. Yeah, friends, that's what time it is. Don't go in the woods cooking their friends. They're not going to like that. And I know you're going, oh, you're crazy. Man, God brought all the animals to God one by one and had him name them. Why did he have him do that? Even farmers know better. You don't have a child name, it's food. God wanted him to have learned about compassion. These are your friends. These are your companions. These are the ones that will keep you company, and these are the ones that you will watch out for. And it slipped away again because I had it there for a second. There was like one more little topic or sentence that I wanted to include there. Trauma. So we have men and women that are men and women. And they're recruited right out of high school and they go off to war. Whatever that means. That's not the worst part. The worst part, I would think, is the boot camp. It's tearing people away from their families, separating the families, and then turning them into what they want them to be. And then we do it in slaughterhouses and they become butchers. The animals are a lot bigger than people. Sometimes to get them to cooperate with their own death, they have to kick them or push them because no one wants to go willingly to its own demise. So now we've got these people out in society who do this every day, day after day, year after year. I just watched because I was eating the Muslims are the ones who turned me on to this. And then I started reading the Bible more about looking for things specifically about diet. And I'm like, wait a second, nowhere in here do I even see Christ barely eat. Nowhere in here do I see him partaking of an animal or at a feast. Nowhere. Nowhere. So we've got broken people everywhere, hurt people, hurt people. They know they need to feed their families. Watch the videos I posted about the ex-slaughterhouse workers. What is my point in this, and what does this have to do with our walk and our strangeness? It has everything to do with it. I'm about truth. And I love you, and I want you to be in truth. But it's a hard wake-up call. And I want you to wake up your conscience before you get any further down the road. The longer you wait, the harder it is. It's not okay to just go kill. In fact, it's the first, thou shalt not kill. And I needed someone else to point me out to that, and I was raised with it. Cognitive dissonance, man. Double-mindedness. Now, I do believe that animals are above, or people are above the animals, but not, again, to domineer them. And the book of Adam and Eve says that they talk. We know they communicate with each other. We know now we're not allowed to talk to dolphins. They used to talk to us. We used to understand them. It's the stuff we're putting into our temples that is shutting all of this spiritual stuff off. This is why they do everything they do, so they can keep running roughshod around us and keep their boots on our necks. And I'm talking about Christ followers. I'm talking about people who are for truth, life, love, and liberty to a certain point. But your liberty is not going to come at the expense of somebody else's life. It shouldn't have to. We shouldn't force our lifestyles on others. But we have the right to peaceful protest and we have the right to debate. Those things, absolutely, we need a dialogue. But force and coercion and all these things are just wickedness. I don't know what else to say. I am devastated that I have participated in this system as long as I have. I hope that somebody who will be affected in the right direction will see this video. Many people, I don't care. It's up to God. It ain't up to me. I hope that we can intentionally, actively stop intentionally causing pain and suffering in others and shutting down our conscience for $1. I've told him he can kick me out at this point. You know what I got told the other day? Get naked or shut up. It's been months. Yeah, and you wouldn't wait months. I know you've been elsewhere. I'm not doing that. You're not having access to me. I'm not saying yes to that. Oh, well, we'll see. That's what I heard a couple days before I lost my job. Please pray for Samson because he's my best friend. They don't deserve this. They're innocent. They really are. That's why we're being allowed. That's why orphan trains exist. That's why those things happen. If you consent to it for another, then you're consenting to it for yourself. If you judge another, you'll be judged that same way. That's why do unto others as you'd have done to you. I'm sorry for the pain that I've caused in this life to those that I've caused it to. But if I cause you pain by speaking, that's too bad. That's too bad. I am disgusted with myself and the society that I'm a part of. I hope God forgives me because I don't know exactly how to get out up from this. And shame on me. Stupid eyes. I don't have the right to be like. I hope that my videos and my channel did something for somebody over these years. I hope my suffering hasn't been in vain, and I've offered it up for all of you, for my family first, but I've said, if you could save anyone else this walk, Lord, please, through mine, do it. This is reprehensible, the things we do. And we send our young men off to war. We separate young families. We try to force other people to live in ways they don't want to live. We drag them off to our schools, or I don't even say our. I don't even know what nationality I am, really. They cut the Native Americans' hair. We know hair is power. They forced them to be civilized. We didn't even know we were naked until Lucifer told us. We weren't ashamed, you mean? You mean we didn't know shame? We shouldn't be ashamed of the things we're doing. That's just it. We shouldn't be if we were living the way that God intended. And for people that say that, I can't help but laugh. You shouldn't be ashamed of your body anyway. It shouldn't be a source of shame or embarrassment. The fact that we have that in there. And I mean, sure, clothes are cool, especially if you want to like ride a bus or a bike. I get it. Like, that's not what I mean. I mean, we cover up ancient, beautiful, sacred art and say that it's adult content and don't allow children to see it, how beautiful humanity can be and the talent that we can have and the beautiful things we can create. But we'll take them to see Marvel Universe and DC Comics where people are ended constantly. And I don't care if you call me weak. I'm stronger than most of you because I can face what I've done. Can you say the same? You can't. My spouse couldn't even fillet a fish without crying. I said, what are you going to do when the grocery store doesn't have steak? What then? What are they going to do you think? When all of the animals have some type of thing like 2019 because of the way we're doing things. And I started eating Muslim food too, like things that said halal. Halal, right? Haran is the bad, halal is the good. So I started eating things that said kosher and halal on them. But even the slaughterhouses that are supposed to be kosher and halal aren't. Because people are people and we do wicked things, especially when we're living not in accordance with natural law. So it's only a matter of time before something really, really, it's already happening. It's already started. I'm sorry if you're, no, I'm not sorry. Like, I'm just not. I was going to say I'm sorry, that all my videos aren't like upbeat and all. I'm not going to be all toxic positivity on you. I'm not going to make the best of this bad situation for you. You've got to face it yourself. And I know I've probably lost a lot of subs when I end this video. That's to your detriment, not mine. I do this for you, and I do this as an act of penance for the pain that I've caused in this world. And I'm not even one of the worst or whatever. We have a whole society of these broken people. They come back from war with PTSD and they hurt their families. The people leave the slaughterhouses, they go home. Anytime there's a slaughterhouse in an area, I just learned this fact, that domestic violence and crime rates increase dramatically. Dramatically. I have a couple near me. I didn't know, of course. You don't know until you know. Why do you suppose that is? Because of the trauma that's scarring their minds. They don't want to go home and face like the burden, because first they're thinking, do you know what I do for you all day just so you can live in this house? And they get, it's what do they call that? When you mirror something back at somebody, projecting. They project what they're dealing with then onto their family. Same thing with cops, same thing they do. But there's also the other kind who join places like that just to do harm, who become teachers just to be close to children, who go to work at slaughterhouses just because they like blood. That's the truth. That's where we live. I hope I didn't lose too many of you, but the truth needs spoken. People need to know these things. Go bear witness. Go witness what you've participated in. Go ahead. And then learn about where our clothes are sourced from and who does that and where they come from and where our devices come from and all of these things. Because some things only little hands can do, like the Snowpiercer movie. Wonder why there's so many missing people. I love you guys. I'm just distraught. I don't know how to move forward in life. Like, what do you do now? What do you do? I don't want to eat anything. I don't want to be around most people at this point. It's not that I don't love you, because I do. But the people that I have option of being around, and like I told you, when I worked at the pizza shop, it wasn't even the fact that I was a Christ follower. It was. But once they found out about how I ate, and I know my husband had already told them, try to get her to eat some meat, try to get her to eat some meat. Everybody, every day offered me meat there. No, thank you. No, I'm not hungry. No, thank you. Finally, I just had to say, yeah, I don't eat animals. Especially the Christians. What do you mean? You don't eat the sacrifice? No, I don't. God, the true God, does not want us doing that. You're listening to the wrong voice. You've made Sataniel your God. He is no longer my God. That's why I'm facing all of this, because he runs these systems, not the earth. The earth is ours. We have every right to be here. He runs the systems. And so I'm going back to doctrine too, because I do believe that, as I have believed for a long time now, that Christ has a bride. Christ has a bride, right? He's a part of God, the royal family up in heaven. And there's a part of the mystery I probably still don't completely grasp yet. Everything down here is an echo of what's already up there. We can't keep ignoring our mother. And I don't mean that in a paganistic type of way. A lot of us are talking about the same concepts as well. I say hierarchy, angels, that type of thing. Muslims say jinn instead of demon, right? A lot of us are talking about and what's the other one I was looking for? Monotheism is one God, and then a pantheon is where you have more than one God. But we do have a pantheon and a monotheism, because God the Most High is the true God, but we are little g gods made in his image. So you could look at it both ways. Are we ever going to stop fighting wars and ending each other over words? I don't know. And now I'm just rambling, I guess. I'm going to go, and hopefully Sammy and little girl have been around each other long enough now and reintroduced to where he won't try to trample her. Please forgive me if I've done you any wrong. I'm a work in progress, and I have been wicked. I'm doing my best to change my ways and to align my actions with my thoughts and words. But every day I discover things that I'm doing that, I shouldn't be doing.